Hello and welcome to your pre-match build-up of Newcastle United against West Ham United, kicking off in just over half an hour. I'm joined by Gonzo, who does not know the starting 11. I've got it here, a few changes, a few surprises in the West Ham one, and I'm going to be getting Gonzo's reaction. Gonzo, before I read out this starting 11, how are you feeling for today? Are you confident, optimistic?
I've sort of switched between the two. I've had a bit of a rush to get back home. So I've gone from anything from a 3-0 West Ham win to a sort of 2-0 Newcastle win. I'm feeling a little bit less confident now, but I don't know the team, so hopefully that may change.
The back five is, as you'd expect, one change. Masuaku has been dropped and Aaron Creswell has come in, so that means Fabianski in goals, Zabaleta right back, Balbuena and Diop continue in the middle. Declan Rice is centre midfield and he's joined by skipper Mark Noble. And it looks like we're switching to a 4-4-2. Pellegrini's going old school. With Anderson and Snodgrass on the wings, and then up front he's got Marko Natovic and Javier Hernandez. Gonzo, what's your initial reaction? It's a bold move by Pellegrini, but we played two up front against City, so perhaps not surprised he's sticking with it.
Yeah, I do. That is interesting. I do wonder if it is going to come out like that, or is he going to is somehow Snodgrass going to be moved centrally? And maybe actually Arnie might be drifting wider. We might still have one up front. That wouldn't surprise me. I'd be quite happy if we did go with a proper 4-4-2. I wonder what you were going to say then. I thought you was going to say Carroll, actually. So, yeah, I mean, he needs to do something, doesn't he, really, Chicharito now? I think this is a really big statement, I think, for the manager. And he's got to start repaying back some of his massive wages, I think, on that one. Strange one, yeah. My reaction, I'm not quite sure about that.
What about Hernandez up front then? Because I think social media has been very split over Hernandez. I personally think he's been playing quite well the last few games. I thought he did okay against City. He set up our best chance of the game. But a lot of people still think he's not playing very well. It's obviously come out in the week that he's open to move in the window. But to give context to that, he also said he's not getting game time. He needs game time, etc. He's now getting the game time. It's just sort of, well, you've asked for it. Here it is. What are you going to do with it?
Yeah, I think he has to not prove himself. I think Javier Hernandez has to prove himself to nobody. I think he's the best finisher at the club and the most natural poacher, certainly. But I think he has to, it's a little bit of payback. And I do understand that he's not at the starts that he wanted. We all thought he was coming in to be a superstar, and probably so did he. But now's the time to deliver. We need this win. We really do. This starts a run of fixtures off for us. I think somebody of his caliber really needs to be showing his form and his quality against a team like Newcastle, albeit that they're in good form.
Perhaps more surprisingly is the bench. Adrian's on the bench, you'd expect, along with Ogbonna, Masuaku, Obiang. Jack Wilshere returns is on the bench, Lucas Perez and Andy Carroll. Now, while it's not who's on the bench, it's who's not on the bench.
Yeah.
We're obviously missing Mikel Antonio and Diangana.
Yeah, wow. Okay.
No news so far as injuries, but it's been suggested that both of them are being kept fresh, if you like, for the Cardiff game, which is obviously on Tuesday. And in his pre-match conference, Pellegrini sort of said that Zabaleta can't play all the games in December and hinted that Antonio will be the right back while Zabaleta's rested. So does it surprise you that these two players are not in the squad at all?
Well, yes, but it also would indicate if we are playing 4-4-2, then if we think that Anderson is going to be wide and Snodgrass is going to be wide, then they're going to play all game. Because unless you're going to play Masuaku on the left wing, and whilst that's not a bad option, Pellegrini's shown no sort of desire to do that at any point during his short West Ham career, you'd have to suggest that actually there's not the subs on the bench for any real width, you know? So, yes, can Perez play there? Yes, but you would not describe him as a winger, would you? So, I think that's quite interesting. Hopefully it is just that, because Diangana and probably Antonio on the endeavours of his game against Manchester City, neither of them deserve to be dropped from the full match day squad, as it were. So if he's keeping them fresh, fair enough. But, you know, we're going to get back to this now. You know, we wanted players to come back from injury. We wanted Mark Noble back from suspension and Dubry and Snodgrass back from suspension. Andy Carroll, of course, from injury. And Jack Wilshere, we want these guys back. And if everyone's fit, people are going to be dropped from the bench, I guess. So it's nice to see. And it's nice to see us having a substitute midfielder on the bench as well with Wilshere, which is good.
For this one, Pellegrini couldn't really win or couldn't lose. Depends how you want to look at it. He had to do something. He had to make changes. We spoke earlier this morning. I said to you, no matter what Pellegrini does, there's going to be some sort of surprise. If he keeps it the same, it's a surprise. If he changes it, what's he going to do? What's he going to change? It's worth talking about. Hernandez up front, I think I'm glad he's got his chance. I think he's been doing all right since he come back from injury. I think he's looks like he's got his mojo back. I think he's been chomping at the bit. He's been hassling defenders, etc. I think it's harsh for Antonio to get dropped. I think he played well against City. I thought he was one of our better players, actually. But it's not a coincidence that, in my opinion, Antonio's best games this season have come against Man City, Chelsea at home, when we didn't have much possession, and also Everton away. He came on towards the end of the game when Everton were having the lion's share of possession. All he had to do was hold the ball up. So when we're playing this counter-attacking game, I think it suits Antonio. I think we get the best of Antonio. But today there's going to be a lot of possession on us, and it's going to say a lot of emphasis is going to be on West Ham. Say, what can you do today? That's when I'm not sure Antonio is the best player. And if we're going to be getting lots of bits and pieces around the 18-yarder, that's where we need Hernandez. Because if you go back to the Huddersfield game when we were getting bits and pieces around the box, Antonio kept firing it from 25 yards out, etc., and wasting the chances. Masuaku's interesting if he does come on the wing, because I know you said Pellegrini hasn't played him there yet, but since then Masuaku's told a fan on Instagram that left back's not his position and that his life is worthless. That's for another one. Just run through the Newcastle squad. I'll get your reaction to the Newcastle team, because it's two teams in this and their lineup has a big input on the game. That keeper's in goal. I don't know how you pronounce his name, Dubravka, whatever, the good one.
Chewbacca, yeah.
Yeah,
it's his first game. He's a Wookiee.
And their defence: Yedlin, Fernandez, Shar, Manquillo, and the Diame's in midfield alongside Key, who I think has been their best player for the last few games, etc. Matt Ritchie, Perez, Kennedy, and obviously Rondon up front. Pretty much what you'd expect from Newcastle's 11, if you like. Does that strike fear into you, or are you quite on paper thinking we've got the better team here?
No, I'm not fearful, particularly after seeing Ritchie squander his chance earlier on in the week or whenever it was. The one thing that will worry me is that's three in midfield, isn't it, really? It's not really two up front, which should give them an extra body. I quite like Shah as well, from what I've seen of him. Looks like a good player. So, no, we shouldn't be fearful. We need to be. We spent a lot of money. The narrative at the start of the season was we had 100 million and Newcastle weren't getting investment. They were going to get relegated. And so we've still spent a significant amount of money more than they have. Our wage bill's a lot bigger. We shouldn't be going there with any fear at all. But we are West Ham, and it's just sod's law that we're playing them at a time when they've just started to come back into form. So he's a good manager, very good manager, Rafa Benitez. I'm pretty sure he'll put a lot of men behind the ball, and we'll attack that. It's that midfield battle. That's why I'm not 100% sure that he will go 4-4-2. I would imagine somebody, be it Snodgrass or Arnautovic, may be becoming more central to make up some numbers at some point.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I think when you said that, actually, it does make sense that sort of when we're attacking, we go 4-4-2, but when we're defending, we sort of go 4-5-1 again. And someone like Arnautovic is going to have to come into the number 10 role at least and try and keep a Newcastle midfielder occupied by saying, I'm just behind your shoulder. If you go away and leave me, I'm here in the space. I've got Hernandez occupying the defence. And this could actually be what we need to see from Arnautovic, because don't think he's been brilliant of late, if you like. It'll be interesting to see just how fit he is as well, which is a bit of a concern. One quick, heavy tackle into Arnautovic early in the game could see him limping off, if you like, etc. How are you feeling then? You've seen the lineups, you've listened to lineups. Are you still feeling optimistic, or?
Yeah, I think the worst thing that can happen, I'm stating the obvious here, but the worst thing that can happen is we concede an early goal, and because then back to the wall. But I think the longer it goes on, the more we're in it, and I think you'll see us attack quite a lot. There'll be a lot of sort of I think we'll attack at pace as well. I think we'll have a real go. I think Newcastle will defend more. I wouldn't be surprised if we have more possession than Newcastle today. But I do sense a bit of heartache in the air, rather than the Christmas spirit, so to speak. I don't know. I really don't know. I think the closer it's easy. We do these previews in midweek, and I think it's easy. You get before the game, you get the old butterflies going. Also, do think that the fans being so far away doesn't help. They really do pack them high and right up in the rafters there, which is not great. So how much are our fans going to be able to impact the game? They'll be loud, they'll be singing a lot, but it's going to be difficult. There's been a protest today, though, hasn't there? I think there's a protest against Mike Ashley. So, and we know from our our own club when we played Burnley, and there was the protest didn't happen, so the protest started happening inside the stadium. So that can have a detrimental effect. Hopefully, we can turn that to our advantage. I think we're going to attack a lot. If we attack a lot and score early, we're going to win, and I think we'll win well.
I think it's about discipline today. I think I think it's also, while it's about shape, etc. If we are only playing 4-4-2, that leaves us very exposed to the counter attack, because if we do have possession and go forward with it, as we know, Pellegrini likes to see Zabaleta and Creswell get up the pitch as well. And if they suddenly get the ball and come at us, and we've only got Noble and Rice sitting in front of our two defenders, we're extremely exposed. Snodgrass will get back. Anderson will get back as well, to be fair. Set pieces concern me a little bit, in all honesty. We concede the second most shots in the league from set pieces. That does not read well going into this game. Benitez has always been a manager, I think, so while he doesn't put too much emphasis on his set pieces, they know what they're doing, Newcastle, when it comes to the set piece goals, etc. And that concerns me a little bit. I think Diop and Balbuena have struggled in the air sometimes against physically bigger strikers, like Chris Wood, for example. As soon as he came on against Burnley, he was dominating that box, and I just worry that Rondon's going to do the same for Newcastle today. You give him an inch, he'll take two from you. He's in form. You don't want to face a striker in form. That's what we're facing today.
I think I'd like to see. Sorry to cut you off in your flow. I think I'd like to see Diop clatter him early, not for a penalty, but I think I'd like to see Diop, who's a big boy, impose himself on Rondon.
Just for that discipline, though, our referee today hands out quite a lot of cards, so we do need to be careful. Snodgrass is good for getting bookings. Noble, Zabaleta, we are the worst disciplined team in the league for bookings. Newcastle are quite disciplined. They don't get too many. So we just need to make sure we don't do anything stupid and get a red card for this one. But Gonzo, we'll start wrapping this one up. Would you care to give me yours? During the week when you did your preview, you were a little bit on the fence, and you sort of went with the draw in the end. Are you still fancying that, or is match day optimism taking over and you're going to go a bit wild?
No, the opposite, actually. I've got to say, I'm not optimistic. I'm getting a little bit nervous, but I think we are all right. I think we are better, and I'm gonna not because I want to say something positive. And I think if let the butterflies go away, I think we can win. I think we will win, and I think we might win with a clean sheet as well. Actually, maybe 2-0.
2-0. I'm gonna say 2-1 us. I think it's just match day optimism. I think we've got enough in our team. I think we'll score today, that's for sure. It's just a case of, can we score more than them? That's the question, really, as it is in every football match, I suppose. But is it important today that we win, Gonzo? 3 wins from 13. Cardiff won last night. Our next opponents, they won. All of a sudden, we're only 3 points off 18th spot in a defeat today, and a couple of results go against us. Suddenly, we are, while it's only a third of the way into the season, we are then, this is our first game of our winnable fixtures. And there's only so often you can say, okay, but we've got a good run coming up. We're now in that run. Is today arguably one of our most important games of the season in terms of setting momentum up for the rest of the month?
Yeah, well, the Cardiff one's, good luck to him and well done to him. He's done a remarkable job, Neil Warnock, bearing in mind the money he hasn't spent, let's say. The Premier League's looking a little bit interesting now. I mean, Newcastle look like, until the last 3 games, look like we're going to go down this season. Cardiff, you'd have said the same. So we're starting to turn on its head. I don't know what Southampton are doing today or anything like that, but I mean, things are getting very interesting. And those teams that we thought, Huddersfield as well have had a couple of wins, of course. So those teams that we thought were relegation fodder, well, maybe not. So we're gonna have to up our game a bit, So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. It's very, very important. But the next run of games afterwards, we need to win we need to win at least 4 of our next 8 games, I would think, to really push ourselves up and not worry about all that other stuff. But listen, I'm going to be on the forum on hammerschat.com on the match thread, so there'll be little tips if you're struggling to follow the game. There'll be little tips on there, and we'll all be hopefully we'll be having a good old time on there, on the match threads. Be lots of comments on there. Hopefully not swearing and cursing because we're losing. But hey, we'll see anyway. So yeah, if you're not watching the game with anyone, you want a bit of company, join us on there.
Our charity bet with Betway only today is 5-1, so 250 quid to charity if it wins. A header to be scored can be by any team, by any player. Newcastle to get at least 5 corners, West Ham to get at least 3, and West Ham to pick up 2 yellow cards or more. If that comes in, 250 quid for charity. Go on to the very last question before we disappear very quickly. Would you take a point right now?
No, I wouldn't. I think that's a distinct possibility. But for the reasons I said earlier, I think our ambition should be greater than going up to Newcastle and getting a point. As big a stadium and loyal fan base as they have, it's easy to think it's a bad time to play them because of their run, but there's been a protest today. It might well be a good time to play them. No, I want to win. I'm done with that. We're not David Moyes' team anymore. We go looking for a draw. We're going to attack. We've got a £40 million winger. We've got one of the best finishers around in the game. You know, I mean, he's played for Real Madrid and Man United. We've got a Nautovic who wants to play for Man United. We've got a couple of really good central defenders. We've got our captain back. There's reasons to be optimistic for today, and I don't think Pellegrini's foolish enough just to leave a 2-on-3 in that central midfield. So no, I will not take a point. I want to take all 3.
Yeah, you say Pellegrini wouldn't be foolish to leave 2 in midfield against 3, but he did it against City. So I think your theory's out the window. Okay. I'm afraid. So if he's going to do it against City, he will do it against Newcastle. But this is what we want, Gonzo. This is what we want. We want to see a manager that says, actually, stop your 3 in midfield. I'm going with 2, and you're going to have to work out how to stop our 4-4-2. We're not going to worry about your 4-5-1. You have to worry about our 4-4-2. That's what it's about. That's what Pellegrini brings to us. And we'll talk more after the game. You can join us on the other channel, and the link is in below, youtube.com/Hammers Chat. We'll do a review straight after the game. If you're looking to watch the game, go on to hammerschat.com forum right now. Well, in 10 minutes or so, and there'll be a link to hopefully a good stream, so you can watch the game along with us and then join us after the game for discussion. Hopefully celebrating 3 points for West Ham. Gonzo, last thing from yourself before we disappear.
Yeah, I just wanted to say where we can, when we're not at the games, we'll try and make a habit of this, or on this channel, on the forum channel. So certainly before the next game, Cardiff, isn't it? So we'll try and do a build up on everything. You don't want to sit down and listen to blaming Robbie Savage talking about West Ham, do you? So we'll try and do this a little bit more. Enjoy it, everyone, and we'll see you afterwards, like Geo said. Hopefully we'll enjoy it.
Drop a like on the video if you've enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new around here, and we'll see you after the game.